concrete roads, which is what all of ours are, have a design life of about 30 to 40 years. So our goal is to extend that life as long as possible.
Hi everyone, I'm Steve Stoller.
And I'm Shannah Haley, and this is Inside Plano. Welcome back to Inside Plano. Today we're diving into the latest developments in our city's infrastructure. We have numerous road projects going on throughout the city, as I'm sure you're aware. And earlier this year we passed a significant bond proposition that deals with a lot of aspects of our infrastructure. So there's a lot for us to talk about today.
There sure is. Joining us is our Director of Engineering, Caleb Thornhill, and our Director of Public Works, Abby Owens. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you.
So the first question we want to ask you guys is, Plano has always taken a proactive approach to infrastructure. How do you determine when a street or bridge needs to be repaired, rehabilitated, or even fully constructed?
So yeah, the bridges and we call them culverts that carry the stormwater, they're the larger systems. TxDOT actually assists us with that. They have a report that they do every 2 years, and they provide that to all the cities. So we'll take that, pull the information we need from it, and schedule any repairs to bridges that may be needed over the next couple of years.
And for our roadway network, Public Works and Engineering work very close together on those. And so we have an asset management software system. It keeps track of where all of our roads are, their age, what their condition is. We then will do condition assessments about every 5 years where we get scores on the roads. And then using that information plus all of our historical maintenance records on what in-house staff have been doing, we'll decide what different preventative maintenance treatments are needed or if it's repairs or full rehabilitation.
Abby, you mentioned this briefly. How do you explain how roadway conditions are monitored and assessed?
So my first joke that I always tell people is we don't know where all the potholes are, so make sure you call them in because we will do temporary patching of them. And that's how we extend it until we can actually get there to do one of our more in-depth maintenance treatments. So I mentioned the road scores that we have done, and what we'll do is we'll take those, they create a score of the road based upon what the infrastructure looks like, and it's called a pavement condition index score. And using that information, we'll then decide, okay, do we need to do some sort of concrete panel replacements? Do we need to do an overlay after that? Is it just minor maintenance that's needed? And we kind of prioritize each of those in that order and then sequence them. And our goal is to not have two major arterials under construction at the same time. And we have to balance that with all the other projects that are going on throughout the city as well.
So it's an interesting math equation.
It is. We have a scores from a 0 to 100 basically for every roadway. And then using that information, and as they get older, the scores will decrease. So then we'll do some sort of treatment, and then that increases the score of the road. And then we kind of continue in that cycle to extend their life as long as we can.
Well, tell me, you all, how is maintaining our infrastructure, and that includes, complete rebuilds, how is it different when you're a fully built out city like Plano as compared to, maybe other cities in this fast growing area of Collin County?
Sure. So most of our roads were built in the 1980s and the 1990s, and concrete roads, which is what all of ours are, have a design life of about 30 to 40 years. So our goal is to extend that life as long as possible, but when you do that math, all of our roads are basically approaching their end of life. So by doing concrete panel replacements or joint sealing and then overlays, we extend them as long as we can, because once the road does fall into disrepair and needs full reconstruction, that is much more invasive. That's going to be major lane closures where only half of the road is available, major traffic disruptions, so we try to extend them as long as we can.
So what are some of those major challenges that you face when you're looking at planning for long-term road sustainability?
Yeah, so honestly, it's like any other project. It's our schedule and our budget. So schedule-wise, Abby just touched on it. We try to put these in a sequence to we're not creating a huge disruption, so multiple roads parallel to each other. But the other side is the cost. The sooner we can get these done, the more efficient and effective we can use those budget dollars. So those are really the two big challenges we have, is trying to get these done. Abby touched on a lot of our infrastructure is reaching that end of life. We can't replace it all at once. It may feel like we're doing that right now, but we can't. And so we try to schedule that strategically and try to minimize the disruption as much as we can.
Plano voters recently approved a $316 million bond. How was that plan developed as to what would be considered in the bond election?
So we actually, for pavement maintenance, our 2021 bond really kind of set the course on what we were going to be doing for preventative maintenance and repair and replacement of over time. So we use that based upon the data we collect and taking that proactive approach. So we have about 130 million that was set and identified for arterial roads, and that's going to be where we do concrete panel replacement and then follow up with an overlay. We have about 136 miles of arterial roads, and so our goal is to achieve all of those over about a 15-year period. But we can't do all of the roads at the same time, although it might feel that way. We do about 8 to 10 miles a year. And then that's kind of where that funding is based on, and that was based upon previous construction projects, our costs, and our timeframes. And then we have our residential neighborhoods where we move into those, and there was funding identified for that. We prioritize kind of our critical areas first. We focus a lot on arterials first, and then we move into those neighborhoods. And the goal is just to try to complete the construction in a timely manner and extend those roads. We did get feedback from a Citizens Bond Advisory Council. We also got council feedback. We took all that information and presented it throughout the development of the package.
Well, you mentioned the arterial ones are ones that you focus on first. So what are some of the ones that are coming up that were recently approved in the bond that you've identified? What all does it include? And I know that we've had some rebuilding going on some of our arterials, and we have some repairing happening.
Yeah, sure. So we've got a few different locations, and the information is available on our website about the locations. But right now we've got overlays occurring. Hedgecoke's wrapping up, and Parker is just now starting as well. We've got sections of Independence and Alma that are also going over, being overlaid, and then Midway is wrapping up. That was one from last year that we were trying to finish. On top of that, you'll see major panel replacements occurring along Parker Road, finishing up the multi-year project that we had before. We also have replacements going on along Custer, and anywhere that's under concrete rehab right now will usually be planned for a summer future overlay, usually about 1 to 2 years after that concrete repair has been completed.
Caleb, can I ask a follow-up on that? Because not all of the roads are road projects themselves. Like a lot of what took a while on Parker that you all have told us were, the underground work, or the water main replacement. And then we know that we have a water main replacement going on right now on Park Lane. So what other roads might have underground stuff that's coming?
So yeah, right now we're currently active on Park. That's the big one. And we touched on this a little bit earlier, but when we are going to do an overlay project, one of the first steps is to verify the underground utilities. And do they need to be replaced? And so Parker, you talked about, that was a 50-year-old water line that had to be replaced. And we do that so we can hopefully minimize the disruption in the future, replace all the assets underneath the ground. And so then when we come back and do the panel replacements and the asphalt overlay, then hopefully we won't have to be back there for a number of years. So we're doing the exact same thing right now on Park. So all the disruption right now is the preliminary stages of an overlay project on Park, but we're doing the utilities first, and then we'll come back later next year with the panel replacements and then eventually the overlay.
Very good. So residential alley repairs, what should neighborhoods expect with that? And what neighborhoods maybe are we looking at?
Yeah, so we've got about just under $94 million that's identified over the next 4 years to do neighborhood. We call them residential rehab neighborhood zone areas. There's about 52 zones that we've kind of identified throughout the city when we break them out to our grid. And we try to take on about 2 to 3 new locations a year. The goal is with these neighborhood zones is we go in and we do concrete replacement and repairs of neighborhood streets, alleys, sidewalks, and any of the ADA ramps. Our goal is to complete all of those repairs at once. It helps with our communication with residents, lets them know where we are. We get good contractor pricing because they're localized in one area. And our goal is to not come back for about 25 to 30 years. We'll come back and do minor things here and there. But we time those in partnership with engineering to where the water line replacements are done first, and then we'll go in and then do those street repairs after that.
How does the city evaluate the balance between necessary repairs and making sure that the infrastructure can handle what's ahead in the future if we have more traffic and growth?
Yeah, so the roadways will all be designed for the traffic loading that's on it. So the majority of our arterials will be able to handle somewhere between 40 and 60,000 cars. So we have standards in place that we will do on all of our roadways. The other component of that is intersection improvements. So that will account for future growth or future traffic congestion. So that's the dual left turn lanes, the additional right turn lanes at intersections. And so those are going to be put in for that traffic congestion, but they also have a huge safety component. And that's the two main reasons that we'll do an intersection improvement. But the concrete, like Abby touched on, that's going to get its 30 to 40 year design life. The intersection is going to help alleviate that congestion as we move forward.
The next topic is something we've seen a lot of on the media. We've heard a lot about it from our residents. How are we doing on Parker Road?
So we'll start. Parker Road, yeah, that has been an extremely challenging project. That's one of our most congested east-west arterial roadways. So when people are getting from one side of Plano to the other, Parker Road is right in the middle, and it's the most convenient for the most number of people. So the waterline project is complete at that location. It took just over a year to finish that. Again, it's a 50-year water line, so it had to be replaced. The challenge with that, it was running right down the middle of the roadway, and there was just no easy, clean way to reconstruct that other than having disruption. But the good news is the water line is done. Abby's team is in there now replacing the concrete panels, and hopefully we'll have an overlay and people won't see it anymore, or at least they won't feel it anymore.
What's the time frame? What can we expect for that overlay?
Yeah, so as of right now, they're doing the concrete panel replacements. There's a lot that needs to be done in the section that they're currently working on, which is that section east of Custer Road. And then after that, the overlays can only be done in the summertime due to the temperatures at nighttime. And so for that, the overlay is currently planned to start next summer.
I feel like when that's finished, is that going to be the first road in Plano that is continuously asphalt overlaid from west to east? I think it might.
You are right. It is, yeah.
That'll be pretty special. Like those are super popular. So,
Or as I like to call them, the magic carpet ride.
exactly.
I love it.
Exactly. So, you know, I'm going to skip a question here because I think we've talked about it with water lines and disruption. So, let's go back to intersections, Caleb, because I really want to understand. Do you, off the top of your head, engineer that you are, know how many intersections you've improved and then how many you're thinking we're probably going to tackle next year?
So I do have that number. I believe we've improved over 50 intersection locations. And again, that's a combination of additional turn lanes, widening, or the left or the right turn lanes. We've got 18 in design right now that will be going to construction. And so it is something that we continue to evaluate, and it's the majority of our major or arterial intersections that we're working on. The other side of that you may not see from a construction standpoint, we are going in and updating the traffic signal equipment. So all of our signal cabinets, which is essentially the brain of a signal, is being replaced. The components inside those are being updated. Our vehicle detection is being updated at our signals. So we are doing a lot of improvements at these signals because we know they are the challenging or the pinch points for traffic. Everybody gets stopped at a red light, and so we're trying to update that technology to not only address today's traffic, but hopefully address future demands as well.
I think you're putting them mostly on backups as well, so that if we have storms come through, there's less disruption. A lot of our listeners don't know that this is also another partnership between your two departments. Caleb's team does the engineering planning and the maintenance of the traffic management center, and Abby's team does a lot of that boots on the ground work when things go offline and go wrong. All right, well, what message would you all like to tell our residents when they're wondering why on earth are these road projects taking so long? Why?
Yeah, so we've talked about the utilities that have to be replaced, and that's our water lines, our sewer lines in some instances. What we haven't talked about is there are a lot more utilities out there, and that's our franchise partners. So the power, the gas, the electrical or the telephone, cable. We have to partner with all of those as well if we have to move roadways or move poles. And so when you go by an intersection and may not see active work or it's been A lane's been closed for some time, and we haven't been out there. We may be waiting on one of those franchise utilities to move a pole, to move a gas line. So we are doing everything within our power to get these done, because we know how disruptive it is to have lanes closed on these larger roadways. But that is one of our biggest challenges, is to get these franchise utilities to move.
I have another question that I often think about with all the road construction we have. It seems to me like people don't really understand why we're doing all this road construction. And people don't seem to realize that we're being proactive to keep our roads and our infrastructure in top shape so it can last another 40 years. You think people sometimes miss that message?
Yeah, I think the challenge is people will recognize a road when it's deteriorating, right? So when they see cracks or they see potholes, the challenge is repairing a pothole is a temporary fix. And when you have some of the weather systems that move through our Metroplex, those potholes will be exposed and will be out there constantly. So what we're doing with the utility replacements, the concrete panel replacements, and then these overlays, that overlay is kind of serving as a blanket for these roads. It's going to keep the moisture out, and that's really what causes a road to fail the quickest. It's not the concrete that fails, it's the subgrade underneath it that will start moving with that water getting in there. So it may seem like we're being proactive, but we're also trying to be good stewards of our dollars as well.
Well, thank you both. This has been a great conversation. I think back in the day I heard that if you let your roads fall behind, you will never catch up. So this is really an effort for us to not fall so far behind that we have terrible roads that, and I think Plano's doing a great job. Speaking as someone who drives through Central Plano every day, so I have been through the construction every single day for the last 5 years. We appreciate your time. We appreciate the information you shared. Listeners, you've asked us for more information on roads, and I hope that we've delivered on that. If you have any other topics that you'd like us to address, please send them to us. You know how. askplano@plano.gov. But until then, we'll talk to you next time. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's it for our Inside Plano. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did doing it.
If you have any comments or suggestions, send them to us at askplano@plano.gov. Bye.
Talk to you next month. The Inside Plano podcast is brought to you by the City of Plano.